Somebody tried to come on here and shame me the other day talking about you 28 years old and you live with your parents. Aren't you ashamed of that? Ashamed of what, boo? I don't have to worry about no evictions. I don't have to worry about paying no $2,000 on a one-bedroom apartment. I don't have any children. I do work a full-time job, but I be forgetting when it's payday because I'm able to pocket all my money and save all my money. I get home-cooked meals. My parents, they cook every other day. Food be bussing. Home-cooked meals, at that. I'm spoiled, and I'm not ashamed to say I'm spoiled. So ashamed of what, boo? I'm not ashamed. Life's good over here. You know what I mean?
You know what's becoming way more normal lately? Moving back in with your parents as an adult. And honestly, it's not a bad move. With the way rent and groceries are going up, living at home can give you a chance to save money. It's tempting to want your own place right after college or landing a job, but the reality check hits hard. If you're lucky enough to have the option to move back with your parents, even for a few months, it might be the smartest thing you do financially. In this video, you'll hear personal stories from young adults who moved back in with their parents.
I moved back to my parents' house from living by myself, and thank God I did it. Guys, I was stressed. I was stressed. Bills was kicking my butt. Rent, food, everything. Guys, I didn't expect it to be like this. People are always talking about moving out. Oh, you get your freedom. Oh, you get, you don't have to tell your parents where you're going, when you're coming home. You can do whatever you want. But guys, have you ever thought about the cost of a bed? The cost of a couch, of a sofa, of a TV, of a fridge? Where are you going to do your washing? Ladies and gentlemen, moving out of home is not a joke. And at 19, although I don't regret the experience, oh my God, I could have saved a lot of money. I was working to pay rent. I was working to pay my bills. And the thing is, I had too much pride. I could never go back home. I could never show my parents that I'm struggling. I was struggling. I'm back home. Back home living stress-free. 21 and I wouldn't change it for the world. Guys, I'm glad I came back home because oh my God. Oh God. I even made an in-depth YouTube video about it. Why I moved back home. Go watch it.
Can we please start romanticizing moving back in with your parents for a year or two after college? And yes, obviously I understand that this isn't an option for everyone, but for people who come from like good homes and their parents are more than willing to let them move back in after college, why would you not want to do that? I understand like how exciting it can be getting out of college and wanting to go off on your own and get your freedom and everything like that. But it is so expensive in the world today, and if you can live with your parents and bag the first few years of your salary and just put that all into savings and like get yourself set up, why would you not want to do that? I live in Jersey, which is an expensive area, and I've looked at rent in places around me where I'd want to live or I could have roommates, and even with roommates and living in not a super nice place, it would take up easily a third of my paycheck. And I genuinely believe that moving back in with your parents after college is the best financial decision that you can possibly make for yourself in your early 20s. And if you come from a good home with good parents and this is an option, I think it's honestly just a no-brainer. And I know like moving out into the world is so romanticized and starting on your own, but I think we also need to romanticize saving money and preparing for your future.
Man, look, don't listen to what nobody say. If you fortunate enough to move back in your parents' house and start over, ain't nothing wrong with that. I don't give a damn if you 25, 30, 35, 40. If your parents been working their ass off their whole life to provide a safe space for you and they not broke, man, move back in with your folks and start over. Half of the time your parents be wanting you to move back. They miss you. Move back, ain't no wrong moving back for 3 to 6 to 9 to 12 months to a year or so to start over. That's what parents are here for. Shoot. Ain't no wrong with that. Ain't no wrong with starting over. See, a lot of y'all be so caught up in what society telling y'all, oh, you grown. You don't need to be moving back with your folks. You need to be figuring it out. Man, forget that. If you ain't got to be homeless, don't be homeless. Half of them folks gotta go be homeless and figure it out. But God bless you with some good parents. Man, take your butt home and figure it out, man. Stack your bread. Shit. And then you can't bring kids into the situation because don't let your kids be out here suffering because of your pride. Move back in. She want to see her grandbabies every day. Just pitch in with a little bill or two every now and then, help out with food and stuff. But your goal is to ultimately go back home and stack so you can get out. When you get back, don't be out partying and doing all the extra stuff. Just go back, stack your bread, stay out the way. There's nothing wrong with restarting.
No hate, no shade, no the lady that tweeted this, but a lady said, at 30 years old, you telling me that you moving back in with your parents is just IDK. And what I do care is 45% of millennials and more Gen Zers is moving back in with their parents. And I can tell you why. Firstly, saying things like broke people shouldn't date makes a lot of sense. And I too second that notion. However, it is not realistic. Human beings are going to try to find a companion. And if I'm being honest, the cheapest thing to do right now is Netflix and with Netflix raising their rates every 3.5 months, that's becoming too expensive. We're going to have to bend it over at Barnes & Nobles. People go home to save money and save themselves from drowning in our student loan debt-filled, ratchet-ass economy river, not to impress other people. There is nothing wrong with having standards or wanting a man that's on his feet. However, if you know you cannot respect a man that has fallen off financially, there's no reason to stay in that relationship, belittle him, or ensure that both of you have a negative experience. Just go ahead and find you a man that's more equipped in this economy. And for those listening to this, like, oh yeah, tell her to leave. Typical black single woman rhetoric. Yeah. Leave him. Because if you think a broke man is mean, you ain't never seen a woman with a broke man that wishes he had money. Them ladies are cruel.
You rather struggle and prove a point than to move back in with your parents. What do some of y'all got against your parents? Is it that bad?
I cannot find this video, but I saw this dude move back with his parents at 33 years old and only had $400 saved up. I think that is so amazing, bro. Like, if you are able to go back, if your parents allow you to come back at no matter what age, to get your money right, to get your life right, bro, why wouldn't you take advantage of that? You have to put your pride and your ego to the side, especially if you single and you may have a kid or, you know, a couple kids and they allow them to come too, and you just break them off a little bit every now and then, help around the house. Bro, that is the cheat code. Really, in my opinion, that's one of the ways to close the wealth gap, bro. If we let these kids stay at home until they ready to go. If they single, they ain't got no kids and ain't just got to have their own place. Man, if they can stay at home, save $10,000 a year. 10,018, 10,019, 20, 21. Bro, that's like 40, 50 bands that they can leave out on their own and already have that to fall back on. So now that they can go and really explore opportunities, try different things, fail at different things without being hindered financially because they left home with nothing to their name. I just think, bro, like that's the way. Especially if you ain't going to school, you ain't going to the military, man, stay at the crib, bro. Go back to the crib if you're struggling financially. Save you a few thousand up. Go out there and really be able to take advantage of opportunities without being weighed down financially because you stuck and living paycheck to paycheck, behind on bills, credit bad, things like that. And I get it. You want to leave home as soon as possible because you want to be grown so fast. But boy, when you become grown and them bills start coming at you and they don't stop, you start to reconsider like, dang, I maybe should have stayed at home. I should have saved me about 20, 30 bands up. But to see somebody at 33 doing that, bro, I salute you, fam. A lot of people was giving them encouragement in the comments too, which I was glad to see because a lot of people going to look at you like, well, you 30 living with your mama? Like, bruh, that's a blessing. If your parents allow you to come back and get yourself together, you got to put that pride to the side. You got to let that ego, you got to let it weigh you down. Go back, get yourself together, come back out, and then, you know, learn from them lessons, and then it's only up from there.
Hi guys, yeah, you read that caption right. Pack with me to move back into my parents' house. I'm about to be 27, and I never thought I'd be in this position, but it's okay. I moved out of the house when I was 18 to go to college. My parents paid for my school, but since it was my decision to leave, they said that everything else was gonna be on me. And I did it, y'all. I paid my rent, my groceries, any furniture. I joined a sorority that I paid for too, which will explain my addiction to graphic tees. Then I graduated college, got a big girl job, got my own apartment, and was living my best life. I decided to take the opportunity of a lifetime in 2021 and move out from Dallas, Texas to San Diego, California. And it was the best decision of my whole entire life. This is me realizing that I also have way too many sweaters for California. As fun as these past 2 years have been, I've gotten myself into a little bit of trouble financially. And let me just preference by saying that I've never been the best at saving money, but I've always been able to take care of myself. I got a part-time job back in January because finances were getting a little tight, but then ended up being let go from my corporate job back in March. Luckily, because of my serving job, I was able to pay rent, still go to Coachella, and still go to Spain. But I haven't been looking for a job in the process because I honestly don't know if I can go back to corporate America. My lease was always ending in July, and my plan was to move back to Dallas. But since I lost my job and I don't really have a source of income and won't serve in Texas, my parents have generously offered their home while I figured this out. And again, even though it's not where I thought I'd be, I'm trusting God and I'm trusting the universe. And I haven't been home in 9 years, so this might be fun. So here's to the beginning of that journey.
So I'm moving out of my apartment today and I'm moving back in with my parents. So I wanted to talk about why I decided to do that. Simply just don't know where I want to be right now. My parents moved from California to Charleston. They bought a house here. So I didn't really see a point in continuing to pay rent when they're 15 minutes away and I could live for free here. Just being in a house with your family and my dog is something that brings me so much happiness, and I can already tell that my nervous system is so much more relaxed being with them because I just was not happy. I want to focus on traveling, I want to focus on investing, and I want to honestly explore a bunch of different cities because I feel like without doing that I don't know 100%. I want to be 100% on where I'm going to settle down or where I'm going to live. Now, none of that is cheap, and especially in this economy, I truly just want to save as much as I can. Instead of spending thousands of dollars on rent a month, I can save while living with my parents and travel and explore new cities and really figure out what it is I want to do and where I want to go. The biggest reasons though that I have flexibility is because of my job and is because I'm an online student because of how much I travel for work. I don't physically have to be anywhere, which can honestly be a blessing and a curse at the same time. It's like you can be anywhere, but how do you actually decide where you should go or what the best option is? I want to give myself some time to figure that out. Moving back in with Middle Eastern parents, I know some people can relate to this, was a scary thought at first. Independence, privacy, personal space, non-existent. Really have grown together. I'm not the same kid I was when I was 16 or 18 moving out, and they're not the same parents they were when I was 16 or 18. We figured out a balance that works, and that comes with hard conversations, that comes with talking about what you need. I feel really lucky to have such a great support system and a home filled with so much love that it's a place I'm always welcome to come back to. Anyone who is thinking about moving back in with your parents or hasn't because they feel shame, you should not feel any shame about moving back in with your parents. And I don't know why people shame others for doing that. One of the best decisions you can ever make if it's something that you truly want to do, and if you have the means to. And it's okay to not have it all figured out yet. I don't think there should be a specific timeline on things, and I feel like nowadays, especially with social media, it can feel like there has to be or that there is one. Switch your thinking to only doing what's best for you and your life, because you're only living for you and nobody else, and you should not make decisions based on what other people are doing, because what's best for them might not be what's best for you. I'm so excited that when I'm ready and I know where I want to go and I can hopefully buy a place or invest in a place, then I'm going to be ready and confident in my decision. Still doing all the things I could do before. I'm just saving money. Everyone just has to live for themselves and do what's best for them. And this is what's best for me right now. So grateful that I was able to live with my sister for a year. We grew so much and we learned so much, and I'm sure we're gonna live together in the future at some point. Maybe I'll stay in Charleston, maybe I'll fall in love with it and I'll really like it, maybe I won't. There's a part of me that really gravitates towards bigger cities like New York, Paris, Dubai, let's say. I would love to live there again. That's all I think.
I moved back in with my parents like a month ago, after being on my own for like a year and a half. And at first I was super depressed about it because I'm losing my freedom and it feels like such a loser thing to do. But now I don't have any bills to pay. And I actually feel very free. I feel quite free. Yesterday my mom made me breakfast, baby, and I didn't have to do anything. I feel really good. I feel really good. The whole independent woman thing, it was cute. It was cute while it was cute, but I'm having a lot better time not having to pay rent every month, you know? Nothing is my responsibility anymore. And that's actually goals. So I won't be moving out again until I get married. I'm good with that.
If you live at home with your parents and you feel ashamed, don't. When I graduated college, I'm 24 now. I really wanted to move out. I was like, I want to move to Boston. I want to get my own apartment. Girl, the math wasn't mathing on how much I was making on my salary in my first job. It was like $45K after taxes. And I needed to be humbled a little bit. Who's moving out where? and when. You're not. So I lived at home with my parents, and most of my friends did too, but then they all started to go back to school or get jobs, and they live in the city now, and either their parents pay their rent or they like just work crazy hours to afford rent. I've learned since posting TikToks stating I'm a 24-year-old living at home with my parents that so many other people also live at home with their parents. Even if you move out of your house and you have to move back in with your parents because it's just a budget thing, it makes sense to you, right? It doesn't have to make sense to anybody else. That is okay. You are not taking a step back. My number one thing is it only ever has to make sense to you, so never be ashamed.
I lost my corporate job a week after moving into my dream apartment in Chicago, and 4 months later, I have moved back in with my parents to build my dream life in the comfort of my childhood home. Ever since I started my job, I felt like I was kind of misaligned with the work. I was a person that loved school, I love learning, I love doing things, and this was the first time that I was really like hoping for the weekend, hoping for a break, hoping to spend time away. And I just did not want my life to be like that. Like, yes, we all need a vacation, but I wanted one a little bit more than I was used to. And so after an amazing summer of teaching Pilates in Chicago, building community, I took a 1-month solo trip to Asia and moved back in with my parents to work to build my dream life. It was right before my 24th birthday. Most people would call this a step back, but I really consider this a step forward to make a life that I'm excited to live on a day-to-day basis. And just like I built community in Chicago, I'm excited to build community here and find a new perspective on my childhood home. I miss my Chicago friends deeply, but I will be back and I will be teaching pop-up classes when I'm there. Trust it is never too late to pivot and to do a life and build a life that you are excited about. I'm 24 and I feel like I'm just getting started, but I'm so excited and I'm so eager to see what God has in store for me in this next chapter.
I'm turning 29 this year and I'm moving back in with my parents. Let's talk about it. I've been living completely on my own since I turned 25. No roommates for the last 4 years. Really be able to appreciate things a little differently when you have to afford everything on your own. Now, don't get me wrong, I can afford living on my own, but the closer I get to 30, the more and more I want to stop renting and start owning. Let's be honest, in this economy, that is not the easiest thing. Paying rent completely on your own while simultaneously trying to save up for a down payment on a house simply just is not working for me. Now, is it possible? Sure. But my thought is if I move in with my parents for the next year and save up the $1,500 I've been paying for rent every month, I will be able to buy a house, hopefully by the time I'm 30. I wanted to kind of destigmatize that because I remember when I was in my early 20s being so desperate to move out of my parents' house, and everybody always told me like, girl, stay as long as you possibly can. It's brutal out in the real world. But it's one of those things that no matter how many people told me, I don't think I was really going to understand until I actually experienced it myself. Again, don't get me wrong. I do think living alone is something everyone should experience. It's so freeing. It really gives you such a sense of self and independence. It's been great for my personal development and making me appreciate things completely differently. I'm actually going to really miss this chapter of life. Even though at first I felt a little bit like I was going backwards in life by moving back in with my parents, I'm starting to see it as such a blessing that I have the relationship with them that I do, to where this even is an option for me and I can fast track those savings by doing this with them. So I'm going to bring you guys along with me as a 29-year-old who's moving back with her parents to hopefully try to afford a house in this economy.